and also cultural endeavor for myself when I introduced North Korean art. A couple of days ago, you probably heard that 2 more ballistic missiles fired from North Korea. One of them fell very close to the seashore of Japan. And also, I'm keenly aware of human rights violations that occur in the country, but I think any contact, especially cultural and human civilian contact, would help to bring world peace a little bit closer. So let me start contemporary North Korean art, the evolution of socialist realism. I guess I found that this chair is a little bit too high for my height, but I try to climb up carefully. Okay, how do I look? All right? Thank you. Good. And also, I was amazed by the technologies used here in this center. I guess mostly from the artists in residence. They're all professionals. So they brought this to me. It looked like a K-pop star that I can put on the singing and karaoke. Now, this year in June, there's a false alarm that Kim Jong-un has passed. Of course, it was false. So it tells you that we don't know much about North Korea. All the intelligence forces and military spies and try to bring some information out of the country. They do hard, but still we don't know the country at all. All my artistic endeavor became actually from this show, which was on actually in American University in Washington, D.C. This one is called The Love Affair of the Empress, and an exhibition of large painting installations inspired by my trip to China in 2008, using the images of Chinese empresses as metaphors, and explores the various levels of human nature, power, and loyalty, and even no face with clouds. This picture, particular painting, shows that I used my dog's hair on top of actual painting, glued on it. And I also used house flies I collected from my backyard. And the series of images later evolved to like this, and this. And this is opening scene at the American University Museum of my personal show. Right after the show ended, I began to search another inspiration for my next project, which involves more historical energy. So I'm from South Korea. I call it the Korean Peninsula. So naturally, I was interested to find something from entire Korean Peninsula instead of South Korea, where it's from. So I decided to check something on North Korea. So that's how my journey started. Let me ask you, anybody ever visited Pyongyang, North Korea before? I see feet there, but no hands. Great. So I can't tell a lie, but I'll try to do my best to the truth. When you arrive in Pyongyang, one of the first things that you discover is street propaganda billboards. It's not like a Samsung smartphone or anything like that, but they're propaganda images, people are bombarded by these images and slogans. By the way, do you see subtitles clearly? Yeah. Okay, thank you. This statue is a well-known legendary horse. It's called the Cholima, which can run roughly 250 miles a day. And some murals under the statue. More billboard. I didn't realize this billboard propaganda art turned out to be illuminating from inside at night. On the right upside is emblem is their party's symbol. And this is one nice example of propaganda poster art. And show you a few scenes in Pyongyang, about Pyongyang people, how they do, young couple dating. Across the river, it's called the Daedong River. Tower, torch on top is called Juche Tower. And there's another view. What I say, humans are humans, people is people. So I try to kind of separate the ideology and the regular people, just like me and you. And when you cross this river under this tower, there are three figures. And when you cross that river, and then you see from that under the tower, you can see this. And then across the river, now you can see a large structure in the middle, which is a blue house. And then on the right side, it's a kind of a the foggy glimpse image of a Ryugyong Hotel still being built. And famous Mansudae Grand Monument standing on top of Mansudae Hill. Before 2012, there was only one, left one for Kim Il-sung. Then after his son Kim Jong-il died, they put another one. Now you can compare people under and the size of a sculpture. And also watch right side of the statue, Kim Jong-il's jacket. And he changed following year because people, after seeing the first statue, they complained, oh, our dear leader never, wore dress suit like that. So he was always, on the this field jacket. So why don't you change it? Democratic. Speaking of Kim Jong-il, I found he's very, very artistic, though he's a notorious dictator. This scene shows that he visited the Mansudae Art Studio January 2011, which might be his last visit because he died December of that year. And I can tell you that this at the early as 18 years old, he was already deeply interested in filmmaking. And then later, at age of 28, he was already involved in shooting and directing, attending a national art exhibition when he was 30 years old. The person on the left, Jung Kwan-chul, who is the vice president of the Mansudae Art Studio. And I have to show you Mansudae Studio and introduce you this vast structure of art community. Mansudae Studio is located in the heart of Pyongyang. There are numerous art studios run by the government all over the nation, even in the military. But the biggest and the most important one is Muhn's their studio, where almost all the well-known North Korean artists have studios. People's Artist title is the highest honorary title that artists can obtain. 29 acres. You have to show you. And about 10,000 artists, 1,000 artists and 3,000 staff members. Would you like to go to there and be an artist in residence? 9 acres. You learn about great skills. 1,000 artists and 3,000 but staff. At the end, you might have to do something for the country, state. Build, whatever. Would you like to go statue for the leader, great leader, and be an artist in residence? Think about it. You learn great skills. When I visited September 2011, which was my first. At the end, you might have to do something for the country, state. Build, whatever statue for the leader, great leader, or and think about it. Year, when I visited September 2011, which was my first visit, now this picture on the premises of Mansudae, I saw only one statue on the horse, which is Kim Jong-il, Kim Il-sung, and next year reflects culture of. There is another statue for Kim Jong-il. Now this picture, I don't know what to say. Now. This also you wouldn't do that here. Nursery on the premises of Mansudae. We are happy father reflects culture of this society. So I don't know what kind of a psychology they have. Now, this also tells you here. Nursery on the premises of Mansudae studio. We are happy father, great general, great leader, Kim Jong-il. So you actually grew up in that kind of society, and then you become an adult. And I guess by that time you probably learned something else from, little bit of information from outside. But especially the youngsters and the female, they kind of genuinely believe this idea. Anyway, let me take you to art exhibition gallery inside of Mansudae. This is for tourists. We call it kitsch. I know you laugh, but look, we have a kitsch in this society. I really thought about it, and then I can dare say that 85% of all American art is kitsch. Only 15% belongs to cutting-edge galleries and auction house, Christie. Those are for collectors. The collections here is not kitsch in this center. Collector's item is not kitsch, but we love kitsch. Kitsch is all around us. So when you call this kitsch, it's fine. You just buy a piece as a souvenir, it's okay, but kitsch is not bad. I want to introduce how my research went on. First of all, I went there so many times over 5 years and 9 trips. So this has been on-site field study and attending art exhibitions, interviewing, building rapport with artists, art historians, and the museum staff, and seeking clues and making connections, studying the literature. So I'll show you some of the evidences of what I just said. Beautiful image of Pyongyang looking down from people's grand study house. You can see empty space in the middle is Kim Il-sung Square. And beyond that is the Daedong River, and you see the tower, a little bit close up. On the right side, red sign, that's the famous Chosun National Museum of Art. So I usually go there and study original art pieces with the museum docent. And also try to build a rapport with the staff members. I guess that makes me go through easily to get some materials and academic materials for my research. And then this is the Grand People's Study House. It's almost like what's the big library in Washington, D.C.? Library of Congress. It's exactly like that. Maybe it's a little bit bigger. Look at this. Inside, it's a huge. And amazingly, they didn't do this for me. They were checking the books using computers. And I found one lady was watching performance and studying North Korean. Muhn is studying there too. Specifically, I was interested in the old documents and art books and catalogs and then yearbooks. Yearbooks are very important because there are so many replicas and copies, and so I had to rely on yearbooks. They usually capture almost all the important artworks produced the previous year, and then they published the following year. And then I met many artists and interviewed this person, Kim Sung-min, Vice President of the Mansudae Art Studio and Chairman of the Central Committee of the Artists Association of North Korea. He's a de facto leader of the entire art community in DPRK. He's a fascinating artist, but after he's got this position, he had to do many administrative work, and I saw his artwork is not as good as before. It was really sad. Oil painter, and also met a couple of very important artists in Pyongyang. It's called these artists are doing called Suin Hwa. Suin Hwa means it's a part of the woodcut print, and what they did was that they reproduced many prints from Chosun Hwa, which is Oriental traditional Oriental painting on rice paper, and they have a technique to make it bleed and phase, and also light and darkness without any dark lines in between. It's so amazing. And also interviewed many different artists. Che Chang-ho in the middle is one of the leader artists at the Mansudae. On the right side, Oh Eun-byul, a female artist, well-known child prodigy, and now in her 30s and still a very active member of the Mansudae studio. Kim Sung-hee, probably she's the only female artist who got the most highest artist title in the society. Oil painter, another oil painter who is the son of Kim Sung-min, Vice President of Mansudae Studio. Another artist who is very well known for doing tiger painting. Moon Jung-woong, people's artist in Chosunhwa. Cute young lady, oil painter. Also met a painter who doesn't look like a North Korean. His father was a really legendary painter in North Korea. And then I was lucky to be able to, in one of the national art exhibitions in 2012. Kim Gi-chul is a Pyongyang University Chosunha art faculty, and his work is as a background showing here. And then two artists, married couple, came to visit me where I was staying in my hotel, and surprisingly they gave me 3 Chosunha paintings as a gift. Pyongyang Art College, very prestigious, competitive. While I was interviewing these artists and meeting many art-related people, and as you might have, what do they think of art in North Korea? So this is really interesting that from one interview, actually I met him in Beijing, this North Korean artist, and I asked him, how did he feel about the North Korean art? Interviewing this year, early March, and the image on the back is his charcoal drawing for later on the Chosunhwa. We rehearsed this, but I don't know how to do this. Just bear with me a second. Up. Okay. I think it's okay. It's skipped. We can skip it. Basically, what he said was, in our country, means North Korea, art is for people. Art is recording people's struggle, and history of our art is it reflects people's struggle and fight, and then everyday life. So this actually brings me, and then to you, a big question: that is it really art done in North Korea? There are many criticism on North Korean art, all propaganda, all doing for the state, and there is no individual expressions at all. So as Kate introduced earlier, and I curated a really nice art show, which is still going on in Washington, D.C. I tried to kind of show and ask people after watching the art in the exhibition, and it's up to them how they see it. So anyway, let me move on. And I interviewed him again this year in May. And my research focus is on Chosunhwa, which is a traditional Oriental ink wash painting on rice paper. What is rice paper, by the way? You wrap the rice paper this. It's also called the rice paper. In Vietnamese restaurant, you can have a rice paper, very bristle, and put it in the hot water and softened out, and then you can put some food on it and wrap it. So that's also called the rice paper. But rice paper that artists put their images on is a little bit different. It's from same, just like any copy paper. It's from tree, actually inner bark of mulberry trees, and the fiber is long, really long and resilient, and it is a very strong paper. In history, tells us that we see 1,000-year old artwork on rice paper still exists. And then good thing about the rice paper is you can fold, even crumble, and then you can take it out from whatever the source, and then bring it home, and you can flatten it out just as if nothing has happened. You can frame it beautifully. There's no crease, no wrinkles at all. So that is rice paper. It's beautiful. It is very absorbent, very thin, and North Korean people, their rice paper, chamji. South Korean called it hanji, and of course, Chinese, Japanese, they call a different name, but it's all from same source. This is Mansudae Chosunha studio, and then Kim Jong-il early on said, stand firmly on your own land and look out at the world. It reflects, his idea actually reflects in everywhere, on everywhere, and also in art as well. Now, this is what the Chosunha artists use, except the rice paper. Rice paper, you see behind these tools already painted. Soft brushes, many different kinds, and almost like a watercolor pigments. But the difference is Oriental painting pigment has rabbit skin glue as a binder, as watercolor pigment uses gum arabic as a binder. And they use a lot of black ink. And I would like to show you really good examples of Chosunha. 1973, this piece was considered revolutionary piece because using black ink traditionally on rice paper, nobody ever thought about using colors this much on one painting. And Jung Young-man did it, and then it became a legendary piece. As you see that composition from 2/3 from the top and 1/3 from the bottom is a very golden division. It makes everything stabilized. And at the same time, entire the company, steel company, with including silhouette, almost like a battleship moving slowly from right to left. Another Chosunha, all done on rice paper. So to depict this one, you are not allowed to make any major mistakes. It's very unforgiving. Many artists work together to create the often grand epic scale of paintings in short period of time. For this 40 feet wide panoramic painting, 17 artists worked together. As I said, the width of the painting is 40 feet. Can you imagine the 40 feet wide painting, and this is only one part of entire section. It means you have fourth, fifth more paintings, and they put them together. It's almost like a panoramic painting. This particular painting was done in 1996, depicting the death of Kim Il-sung in 1994. And I was lucky to find that this small ink wash study in Che Chang-ho's studio, and then later this was completed like this, 197 inches wide as a collaborative painting. And I can compare that small sketch painting and the large Chosunha painting at the end. And I had the opportunity to watch the almost entire process of Chosunha collaborative painting in 2014. This is a charcoal drawing. the identical size of complete the Joseon painting. And I can focus on detail here. Six artists work together. One of the leader artists have to step back and see the composition, which side you have to make it lighter and darker. They can so the leader artist they can tell the young artist to incorporate. Now, doing this process, I thought, wow, this is very spiritual because the process of a spiritual practice is let go of yourself. They don't have their self there. No individual, but harmony. They work together. Now, for young artists, it is great advantage for them to learn from master artists while they're working together. One section of underpainting, and this is finished. And I can compare charcoal underpainting and finished section of Joseon. So in the beginning, they started like this and finished 136 inches wide. And I put all these together for my last 5 years research. And then I tried to write a book now, and then which will hopefully will be published sometime later this year. And also, as Kate mentioned earlier, and also I mentioned, I put together North Korean art as a nice show in Washington, D.C. at the American University Museum. It's just still going on. We have 10 days left. If you have a chance to visit that area, please stop by. This is wonderful, wonderful show. We also produced handsome talk and title of my show is going on now. In North Korean society, time has been frozen. Last 70 years, it just closed off. So contemporary means 50 years ago, currently, it's all contemporary to them, but their living style is not exactly like that. But in art, particularly,